could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hand stained from the people.
And hello! So here we are on episode 9 of creating classic Space Invaders. Now I've done a tiny little bit because I'm going to try and move us forward a little bit faster. So the aim of this video is to continue, because I've already created, you see here, a player sprite with a player manager, and so continue the player one, so we get it firing bullets, colliding with the invaders, and get the invaders moving across the screen. Now this is going to be let's say an ongoing thing, and I'll put the source up on the GitHub so you'll be able to get it. All right then, so what have I done? All right, so let's have a look. So first things first, I have created a player sprite.cs. Now put it in game sprites on here. So remember when you did the invader sprites calculation, just create a new class and you call it player sprite. It inherits anim sprite, so you have to change that, and the usual thing as with invader sprite, it's got a blank constructor. So basically it's a copy of invader sprite in functionality. Okay, and then we got our overrides. We've got overrides for just for our update, and the base one just as a normal base draw. Okay, so there's a source will be on there. Now what I've done here is I've got it on for now because this is only showing you how to do it. So we've got our key down for Z and key down for X. Now Z will move us left and check the bounds as 10, so it'll only go X of 10 on the left. And then we've got bounds to the right. So we've now got a silly little maths thing here where it does 800 minus 58. So it gets us looking. So it looks okay because it depends where the origin of your sprite before it does the drawing is. Now it might be bottom left here. So if I just quickly run this, I'll show you what we've done. Okay, so we've got our invaders here. I'll go through what I've changed here. There's a tiny little bit of color change and two types of invaders, and their anims is going. Now I'm pressing the X key, and that moves us that way, and it stops. And that bit there is 10 pixels. Now we move it to the right using the X key and Z key. Sorry, did I say X key? Z key, go left. X key to go right, and we go to the right, and it's there, and it's stopped, and it's roughly about right. Okay, so our next thing, we're going to create a bullet class. We're going to have to get a bullet drawing, so we'll have a look at our sprites for that, and then we will get it firing, and the bullet will go up. Okay, quite simple. All right. So let's get to it. So we need a bullet sprite. So, all right, I'll go back a step. All right, go back a step, Neil. How did I get the player sprite working? Sorry, I forgot about this. So in classic Space Invaders.cs, the main one, we now have a new manager. We've got our sprite manager, which was there before, which basically is for our invaders, and we got another manager which is our player manager. Okay, so just copy the lines and put them there. Lovely. And then we go down, nothing's been added in there nor there, and the initialize got nothing in load, right? Okay, we now got a setup sprite player. Okay, now this function is further down here, setup player. So what that does, it creates a new player sprite. We've got it at 400, roughly around halfway across, and 440 going down. We've got a new rectangle for it, which is the source within our sprite screen of sprites. It's going to be a light pink it's scaled at 3 times. No sprite effects. There's no flipping, and it's at x of 0.0. Okay, and then we're adding it to the player manager. All right, and that's all we basically need to do there. Now in the update, we've added our player manager update. Okay, so copy sprite manager and change it to player manager here. And in our draw, after we draw our sprites, we've got our player manager. So we're going to draw that there. Lovely. All looks quite neat. All right, so at this point, we're good to go. We are good to go. I don't think I did anything else. It has been over a year, and there's been requests for this to be updated. So, yeah. So we're going to try and speed it along. All right. So in Game Sprite, so we right-click, and then we do Add Class, and we will call that Bullet Sprite. Bullet Sprite. Okay. All right. So we got that there. What we need to do is basically replicate what's in, well, for example, Player Sprite. So what I will do is Player Sprite, which isn't, oh, it's here. So if I can do that. I do it there. All right, so we've got Player Sprite there, and we have Bullet Sprite here. Lovely. So let's just copy these across. So I'm copying across all the namespaces as we're going along, and that looks good. And then we've got, so we're going to change that just to class. So delete that, and I'm going to copy across. Oh, sorry, clicked wrong. I will copy across the colon, and it inherits from the base class, which is the anim sprite. Alright then, so we move that down. So what we'll do is then copy across this constructor region here, go across to bullet sprite, and then we'll put it down. Then we need to change this to bullet sprite here. Come use Neo type, so it's bullet sprite. Lovely. So that's that, and we got rid of the error there because it needs a constructor because of the anim sprite. Now we're going to copy across our overloads. We just copy it all across, and then we delete the contents. Alright, so do that, put that in there, put that in there, and looks good. So in our override, we're just going to get rid of these. I'll let it go into the base. Lovely, and we got the draw there. Oh, well, that's good. So we now have a bullet sprite. It doesn't do anything, so we'll let's have a quick look. We'll have a quick look, see if we've got any bullets. So if I invade transparent PNP, let's have a look. All right, so we've got bullets here. Lovely. Let's have a look at positions. Okay, so I'm looking at the bottom here. Oh, here. Oh God, there. And so when I'm looking, so if I go 0, 20, and it is 327. So that looks all right. 0, 20. All right, that will do for the bullet. So it's 0, 20, and 3, say 4, 5, make it 5, 27. All right, lovely. So bullets right here. So what we're going to need, we need to create some bullets. So in here, I'm going to do it in the bullet sprite. No, we need like a manager for the control of it. So in the player, right, player's good. So all right, I'm just thinking about this as we go along. So we will create a new manager. So if I copy this across, and then we will make that bullet manager. Bullet manager. And that's a new TM, well, T manager, lovely. So I'm going to go through and we will effectively do exactly the same. So it's created that. We don't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get it so it draws one bullet, and then we'll move the functionality around. Just get this working. So I do setup bullet sprite, because this is just a temporary. Okay, we haven't done the function yet. Go down. We need an update here. So I change that to bullet manager update, and we also need to draw it. We draw it after the player. We draw it before the player because it will draw behind the player. Lovely. Thinking out here. So this is bullet manager. Okay. So that's that covered. We now want a private function in here just to test it. Private void, and then we do setup bullet sprite. Note the only parameters. Put it in brackets, and we're going to write test create bullet sprite for checking new functionality. Okay, that'll do. That will do. All right, so we do bullet sprite, and then we do spr equals new bullet sprite, and then we want new sprite. I'm copying this from before. If I just close this now, just close that window, and then put up here, and then what we'll do is we'll copy all of this line here. So we've got a new sprite there. So at the moment, if I do this, it will just create a new player sprite. So if I do bullet manager add, so we're adding it to the internal list for the manager. We do that, and that it will create. Why is that there? All right, so new sprite. Oh, Mr. Bracket. All right, lovely. All right, my own excitement. So if I do this, and I'm going to change this to 380, so it's 380 down, and then we will make it a green. And well, we'll just run this. So we'll run this. So we should have 2 players. Well, excellent. There it is. That is our bullet manager, and it's just drawn a player. All right, lovely. So now we need our bullet, and it's 0, 20 according to our graphics. So it's 20 down, 0 across. We make it 5 and 8, and that will do. I'll make it 7, and then we want to make the bullet. We're going to make it light red. Have we got light red? No. We'll make it light grey. That'll do. Light grey, and got everything the same. And let's just run this again. Oh, there she is. Slightly off. All right, so that is our bullet. Now let's try and place that. So we've got our no. First of all, what we'll do is we'll move this this creation, and then we will add that into player sprite. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just take this and copy it for now, and then in player sprite, in control, okay, we want a fire, don't we? So we do it on a key, we do it on space, and we do it on return actually. So if I do the keyboard, get state, is key pressed? We need is pressed. So you want is key up. So we do key up, so we'll only fire once. We don't want it repeating. Is key up. I know what we'll do is we'll have no, I'm changing my mind. So we'll have is key down. Then we do keys return enter equals true. Then we need to fire something. So I'm going to do fire bullet. And then what we're going to do is just do no parameters, and we just do that fire bullet. Lovely. So now we need a private function for this. So I'm going to do a new region, and we call it private functionality, and close the region. Lovely. And in here we're going to do private void fire bullet. Don't need any parameters, and we need to put it brackets around it. Lovely. So that's our function. So in here I copied this. So we need to, alright, so we've got our, so we need to create a sprite. Now we need to do this at the player. So this will be position X. Now I'm going to add 3 or 4. Let's make it add 4 because the bullet needs to be central to the thing. Then we do position Y, and I'm going to do that minus, thinking about where we're drawing. So I'm going to do minus 10. Okay, everything else looks good. And we now need to try and get our bullet manager. So I'm going to go back to classic Space Invaders. We're going to have a look at our properties. Okay, so we're going to need function. Now I'm going to actually add a function. Let's have a look in here. What have we got in here? So we've got globals. Lovely. So I'm just refreshing myself after a year. So we're going to have a public. No, I lied. I'll have a property. So in here, you can do public. Now this is in the properties region. So let's put an L in there, Neil. Public, and then we're going to do bullet manager. No, it's not a bullet manager, it's a T manager. And I think we need to put, let's have a look here. This is a bit of a guess, game object. So we do this, and then we'll pull it as bullet controller. We'll have a different name. We will, oh, where did they go? All right, so we do get, and we will return. Oh no, things aren't doing. All right, so we return bullet manager. Okay, and now we'll work out why that's not working. Okay, so oh, there, lovely. Don't put a semicolon at the end there, everybody. All right. So did that do that automatically? I'm not sure. All right. So basically, so we've externed our bullet manager and we called it bullet controller, just so it's different. So in our player sprite here, we now need global instant, and then we'll call it bullet. Why isn't it there? Oh, core game, bullet controller. Add. Oh, I'm perfect. Oh. Hey, all right, we're there. All right, so what have I done? Right, I know within our and we'll get rid of this. Sorry, this is all a bit. I've copied in too much. Okay, we just wanted that line. So we get that, move that out of the way. So that's all now tidy. So we have our bullet, our fire bullet, and it's referencing our bullet controller from our core game, which is basically the classic Space Invaders class. All right. So on enter, it will fire a bullet. All right. So let's have a look. So if we move around and we'll press there, ooh, lovely. But there's lots of them, and the position's wrong. So it needs to go up higher, and it needs to go, I would say 6. Let's go 5. All right, so let's just guess these. I wouldn't do it like this. I'd have this on proper define. So we need to make that 9, and we make that. Let's make that 16. All right. So I've increased the x to 9, and I've reduced the y by 16. All right. So run that, and we'll. Right. We will press. Oh, it's nearly there. Looks like 3. So if I do it on 2, I'll do it 2 across on the x, and we do 2 up on the y. All right. So on the x, I'll make that 11, and on the y, I'll make that minus 18. Let's have a look at this. All right. So we'll move x, y. Oh. Yeah, that'll do. Lovely. And there's lots of them. So what we're going to do is we're only going to do it so it's on a press and not on a repeat, because that's not good. All right. Okay. So that position is fine. Right, so we go back to here. So we're on enter. So we've got down. So we need a state. So what we need to do is in here, at the top here, I'm going to create a new region, call it data. Data. And close region or end region. And in here we're going to have private bull, because we just need a state. And we're going to put be fired. Okay, we'll initialize that as false. All right, so our be fired is false because we haven't fired anything. So, all right, so what we need to do is extend this check here. So I'm going to put this in brackets. So nice, and then we want and there, 2 ands together, more brackets, and then we want be fired. What do you think it's going to be? False. All right, lovely. And then in here, we want be fired. Be fired. What do you think? Equals true. I'm just going to press tab. It's done it for me. Lovely. All right. So now we want another check for if so if key up. So I'm going to copy this one. So on the key up, so is key up, up event equals true, and be fired equals true. Then we want be fired equals false. And we can remove this fire bullet. How does this work? Alright, so I'm just to put fire bullet. It uses a state. So if, right, so when it comes here, is the key down for enter? If the key is enter, is down, and be fired is false, it's going to set be fired to true and fire a bullet. If it then comes back down and the key is down again, but be fired is not false, it won't fire the bullet. Okay, when you lift the key up, which is this line, and be fired is true, it sets it to false. So you get that condition of a reset. Down, be fired true, only fires one bullet. Up, be fire is set to false, and then down again, be fired true, and you fire a bullet. Let's try this. Alright, so we'll move a little bit across, and now I'm going to press and hold enter. Got one. Oh, look, only one bullet. Release, enter, hold, release, enter, hold, release. So you can have lots of bullets, but only get one bullet on one press. Perfect. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so now let's get that bullet moving up the screen. This is the easy part. Okay, so bullet sprite, and we want in update. So in here, we want to, I'm just thinking how we're going to kill the sprites. We'll come to that in a minute. I think there's a way of doing it. I might have to pause the video and check. All right, and so currently, when it's active, it needs to accelerate up. So in here, I'm going to do a region. I think we have got a speed, haven't we? Yes, but we're gonna have an acceleration value. Okay, so region data and end region. All right, so in here, I'm gonna have private. We're gonna have it single, and we are going to call this one F Excel. Okay, and we're going to give it a value, and I'm going to give it a value as minus 0.5 F, 0.5 F. Lovely. So let's then in here. So what we need to do, if position okay, so I don't think we can edit position, can we? So we need to get that. So I'm going to do position, which is a vector 2. Oh, we might be able to. All right, we'll try this one. Position y. So if position y is less than minus, we're going to do minus 10, okay, because the bullet is, let's say the bullet will be only 7 high, okay, so that'd be completely off the screen. Okay, and then we want to kill sprite, we'll call it kill bullet, off the screen. Okay, so else So if it's above -10, we want to change the position. So we want position y minus equals f excel. All right. So I'm looking at this. It's erroring and saying we cannot modify that because it's not a variable. So in here we want vector 2 pos equals position. Okay, and then we do pos because it's a local one dot y equals that minus, and then we will reset position. Position equals pos. Lovely. Did it all for me. So that is that. So what's it going to do? Let's find out. Oh, it's going the wrong way. All right. So, oh, I did a minus on a minus. Oh, I'm such a fool. All right. So if I do plus, and we want that a lot faster. So I'm going to make that 2.5. All right. Okay. Bear with. Okay, so I've implemented the kill function, so it removes the sprite, and it ended up being slightly simpler than I thought because I already catered for the fact that you need an ID to reference a list and blah blah blah, which I won't go into. But what I will do, I'll show you what we implemented. So in player sprite, when it does the fire bullet, does it bullet normal? I haven't done anything else, so whatever I was adding got removed. Okay, so it just adds a sprite. Okay, so in the bullet sprite, when it gets to -30, it then calls kill, but it passes base ID. Okay, now that, if we then have a look in the manager, when it goes, so we need the kill function there, so it adds this onto a list, which is just an int list, and it adds that onto there, and then that is our unique ID, which is separated here. So we have our unique ID here, and every time we add, it increments the unique ID, and so each object that gets added into the list will have a unique number. Okay, so then when it does the update, if I hope you're following me, we've added that unique ID into the kill list. So what that will do, that will then come to this kill list, find there's something in there, and it will then go to this one. So every item in that list, it will then remove that item. So it searches when it goes to the calls the remove with the ID, and it goes through the list, finds the ID the object wants, and removes that from the object list, and then turns. So once it's done the normal processing of all the objects, it then checks the list. Any object within this list that needs to be removed, it will remove. Okay, this because if you have an index into a list, it will always change. It'll always be, the list is always fluid. It's always going up and down. So you can't store externally an exact index, because that will change. So we have a unique ID within the object, and it will then technically remove that object from the object list. Now we can do this when we run it. So if I run this, okay, so we're moving the invader around. They're not actually doing anything exciting. Fire loads of bullets. So we fired, I don't know, 10, 11 bullets. All right, they've all gone off the screen. Now I'm going to quickly show you an easy way of proving it. So in classic Sprite Invaders, in the update function, if I put a breakpoint here, so I do one here, so it stopped on there. Now bullet manager, if I go down and just hover over that little arrow so it opens it up, you see our unique ID is now C in hex, which is 10 11 12. That's 12 decimal is C. and we have a look at our kill list. We haven't got anything in our kill list. More importantly, we haven't got anything in our object list. So if I was to just do this, run the game, oh, it's running, and then fire loads, bear with me, it says fire loads, break here, and then we'll have a look at the list. We go down, you see it's gone up to 17, and we got 5 activated on our object list. Okay, so we now know that our kill function works fine, so that's lovely. So if I was to run this, and then break that again, and have a look at bullet, it's gone. We got one that's just ready. So let's just get rid of that one. Oh, sorry, can't do it. So run this for a while, run that again, have a look, and it's gone. Lovely. Okay, so brilliant, all working fine. So let's run that again. So our bullets are working. There is just something I want to do, just to show you a little thing for acceleration, just so it gives it a bit of a a nice different, a nice effect. So we go to bullet sprite because we have got acceleration here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make that minus 1.5, and each time it goes through here, I'm going to add something, well, minus something from the FXL. So I do minus equals, and we do 0.001, and then 0.5f. Okay, and close that with semicolon. So this will effectively increase the amount that we are moving the bullet at the end by a small amount, because this is getting called several times a second. This might accelerate too much. So let's have a look. Or not at all. That's very slow actually, isn't it? So let's have a look. Let's do this. Yeah, you can hardly see that. Alright, that's good. So if we then make that 0.5, this is going to go stupid. Yeah, lovely. So you can see they're accelerating. This is nice touch. So they're coming out and almost like a booster going, and then they're accelerating off. I'm just going to reduce that just slightly. One thing we don't want our bullet going faster than the size of the sprite that we're going. We don't want to check if we got something going faster than the size of the sprite we want for colliding, it will jump over the sprite and miss it completely. So we need to be aware of that. So if I do that to 0.3, I'm just run that, and that's quite cool. Yeah, you can notice that. Lovely. One thing I will do is I'll move the player down. So we're going to move the player starting position. Now that is in the main game. Okay. So if I go down to setup player, and we want to move that to, let's try 600. Let's try 550. Oh, at the bottom of the screen. Lovely. So that's looking good. We got boosting off and accelerating. Lovely. I think that will do fine. Okay. All right. So let's for now we need to. So what we're going to do? We're going to do the collision. All right. So let me just think about this, and then I'll come back. I will do some offline, and then we'll come back. So at least the video is not going for too long. All right then, lovely. All right, so the first part of the collision detection, we need to know the size of our sprite and the position of our sprite. So we have a position of our sprite, we don't know the size. We know the scale, and we know the source rect, so we can have the width and the height, and then we have the scale. From that we can calculate our our thing. I just thought of a nicer way of doing it. We'll have it as a function. Okay, so in public over here, I'll do it and I'll explain it as we go along. Okay, so we need to return a vector2. That's a little bit because it's a float, and that's fine. Vector2, and that will be so if we go get sprite size. Okay, and in here we need to we won't, so we just do that, and then we go, so we'll have a vector2, and then we've got we'll do it a slightly horrible way. So we return. Okay, so it's simple math. Return a new vector2, and in this it will be so we want our source rect width, and then we want times f, so we do scale. All right, lovely. And then we do source rect height times scale. Does this all make sense? Hopefully this does. All right, very simple. It just saves us confusing things with a lot of sums. So basically we're returning a vector2 which holds two floats, an x and a y. There's their member names, and our x will be our actual physical width. It's not our source width, might be 8 by 8, but we've got a scale of 3, so it will be 24 by 24. So this will do the scale. So it will return a new vector2 which we can then use when we do in our checking for collision. Lovely. So that's this one, the first part done, so we can get it. All right. So okay. Now we need to work out collision. Okay, so I'm going to add it in the sprite, the check collision, and I think that should enable us to keep it fairly tidy. So next function, public, we'll have coarse collision because it's just invaders. So we'll do public bool, and we're going to do check collision. Okay, and with this one we'll have a rectangle, and I'm going to call it other object rect. Okay, that's a bit of a handful. Okay, so here we will have a bool for our return, and we'll have it as false. False indicates that we haven't collided. So if I do a return, okay, tab, and then we will need to do the check. Okay, so let's just have a look at other object rect. What have we got? So intersects. Lovely. I think this checks whether or not the other rectangle intersects with this rectangle. It does it all for us, and it returns a bool. Oh my god, this is just perfect. All right, so intersects when we want a new rectangle. It's going to be this one, but it's going to be source rect x. There, and source rect y there, and then we want we want that. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this across. We can still use that function elsewhere, but it's easier just to plonk that in there. Okay, so that is our new rect, which is okay, argument free, cannot convert float to an int. Okay, so if I do that, sorry, so we get a rough indication. No, it won't be accurate, but it'll be good enough for us. Lovely. And we will do that, and we will do bill ret equals. I think we have it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that's looking cool. So if the other rect intersects with ours, it will return true. All right, so we're passing ours. When I say ours, we're creating a new rectangle, which is the equivalent of our source rect, but we've extended the width and height according to the scale within the rectangle. Okay, it looks confusing. I had to cast these to int32 because these will promote it to a float because of the fact that's a float. It promotes the value to a float, which isn't what we want. We want an int32. We just want to keep it as a whole number. So put them in brackets and then cast it to an int. It's that simple. All right. So that's our check collision. Perfect. And it's in our sprite. Lovely. I think that's a goer. It's nice having the intersects. Just use this function because it gets whether or not the other rectangle intersects with this rectangle. Otherwise, you'll be checking the source width and height, and then it just 3-4 lines of code. But this does it for you. All right. Let's. Where are we going to do this? Alrighty. So adding the collision in. So what we do we're going to call a function which has got a rectangle for our current object, and we want to check the invaders. So this will be, we'll pass in a bullet, and we want to check the active invaders. Okay, so this does involve a little bit of changing the T manager, which we will do, because what we need to do, we need to check to make sure that we have invaders active before we go through the list. All right, so let's just go into T manager, and it's quite simple. What we need to do, we need to return the object list count. There's a few ways of doing this. I will. One thing that we could do is we could do it on a property. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on this, on a property. All right. So it's not the easiest. So we do public, and then we want an int. We're not even in constructors, aren't we? We got properties for this. Yes. Okay. So we've got ID. So in here, we're going to do public. I'm going to do object count. That's what it's called. I'm going to call that an int32. I'm sorry if I'm swapping these around. And that will allow us to that's right, that's better. And so I do that, and within here we want to return the main object list count. All right, lovely. We don't need to set it. It's just a getter. All right, so it's our object count. That seems quite cool. So we go back to classic Space Invaders. So in here, first of all, we need to check before we do anything else that we have invaders in our list. All right. So we could check. So we do if, and we do bullet manager, and we will call it object count greater than 0. Lovely. And now we can go through the list doing our compares. All right. So what we'll do is so for each member in the list, so we need a I'm going to do a for. We keep it fairly simple. So if I do int32, and we call it index equals 0, and then we want to check that n index is less than object count. It won't change because we're actually it's not processing the main loop while we're doing this. All right, and we'll inc our index, if you remember from our for loops. All right, so right. Right, semicolon there, and we then want plus us at the end here. Lovely, and that's all sorted. All right, so in here we want to iterate through our list. Now we could retrieve the whole list, or we could index the list. Now what I've added in the team manager is this little baby here. It is called an indexer. It's not it is a property, but it's an indexer. All right, it's a little scary. So just type this in. We'll have this on GitHub. So if you have the source, you'll have this. All right, and so this is the T, because it returns our object that we've generated with our template, and it's the indexing. So it goes to the object list and returns that value. So we have a get and a set. So it's exactly the same for this. So this is an indexer enabling us to access the items within the object list. Perfect. So we have that, and it's very easy to use. Because all we will do if we need the invader sprite, so I'm just going to we can just use the sprite because we've got our functionality there. So I'm going to do sprite equals, and then we'll just do global instance core. Oh no, don't need that, do we? We need bullet. No, we don't. We need sprite manager for the invaders. I got there. And then index. So we just do this because we can do it, because it's telling us that we can do it, and it returns the game object. So we then do that as index. Okay, so we have our invader sprite, and I'm going to have to cast it to a sprite there, and that's funky and dory. Lovely. So we have that. So now we can do the if. So if I do if sprite, and we got check collision. It's all coming together. Check collision, and I'm going to pass other rectangular rec, and that equals true. Okay, so that means it has collided. Then we need to do something. So at this point, they've collided. So collision. All right. So what we then need to do, we would need to kill the invader and just return. All right. So what I will do, I'm going to change this to a bool. And I'm going to set this up here. Sorry for editing this as we go along. Bool be rect equals false. Because if it's collided with something, we want to return true so it can handle whatever it wants to do with the object that's collided with. So we then return be rect q, and there, lovely. So in here we got collision. So I'm going to do be rect equals true. Ignore the tab, and then what we're going to do, we're going to break, because we don't want to process anymore. It's collided with one object. We don't want to collide with all the objects going up in a column. So we just think, no, we just want one. All right. So to get rid of the invader, which is quite simple, what we need to do, we need to call this one. So it's sprite manager kill. Now what I will do, because we have the sprite, so I do sprite dot. Aha! Where did that come from? All right, so it's spr dot. Oh, come on. Why aren't you? Oh, there's some error. All right, so let's sort this bit out. I missed a bracket or somewhere. So sprite equals true. Why is that there? Expecting. Oh, there. Sorry. Weird. All right. So be rect kill sprite. And now we can do this, and we go base ID. No, base ID. There. All right. So that should remove the sprite that we want, and then stop and go back. Lovely. Okay, so I think this is quite cool. Normally I would have another separate controller, but it makes it a bit more complicated when we have an extension, or we inherit a template class and we're in another template class. So let's just not go there. We'll just have this, and then we'll work our way through the list. Normally, it doesn't matter that it's here for now. This is purely for reference for you. All right, so check invader collision, and we need to call that every time we iterate through the bullet. It seems like quite a lot, but these games do a lot. You can cheat a little bit. So in the update, so we do our update. So here, right at the end here, I'm going to do global inst there. So I'm going to tab that, and we're going to edit it. Anyway, yeah. All right. So we're going to do check. Oh my God. Check invader collision, and then we need our effectively our sprite. So we need source rect. So it's source rect dot x source rect source rect dot y, and then we need source rect dot width times scale, and then source. I should have done this on a function, shouldn't I? Source rect dot height times scale. We'll sort this out on the next thing. Alright, so check collision, taken 4. Alright, so let's do new rectangle and put that in there. Lovely. And then we cast these again. We will do this in a separate function. It is very, very annoying. Alright, I'm going to write this here and then we'll put it into a function. So we need that. So basically we don't want to do this every time. This is the beauty of game development. It's not thinking as we're going along, which is not ideal really. Okay, so that will do. So we'll try this and then we'll move that into a separate function. Alright, so if so the collide, so if global instant that, just make sure that that's right. No, that one is, isn't it? Oh my god, it's not highlighting it, is it? Oh, it is. That one there. Alright, so equals true. And that is, yeah, there. Okay. Wow. We need to sort that line out. Alright, so if that one equals true, we effectively want to kill our bullet. There. And from here we can then sort the school. Alright, so this should sort out our invader things. What I'm going to do is go to classic, right, where we have setup bullet. That's it. I'm just trying to remember. Setup bullet. We don't need this anymore. It was just a test. So remove that, and we will remove the call here, and then we'll try. Okay, so let's see what happens. Alright, so we have our invade. It's going to fire, and we don't hear anything. Fire there, nothing. There, nothing. Nothing, nothing. Alright then. Let me debug this and I'll come back to you. Alright. I realise what I've done wrong. So what we're going to do, we're going to transfer our horrible thing into a function. So where should we pick on first? Here. Alright, so what we'll do, we'll take, no, we'll do it properly. So if I go to sprite, check collision, okay, so we're going to do this one, but what we're going to do is above this one, we're going to have a public rectangle. You obviously know exactly, if you know what I've done wrong, then you are an amazing person. Alright then, so I'm going to get sprite rectangle rect, that will do. So I'm just going to put scaled. Alright, and then we don't need any parameters, but what we will do is we'll return new rectangle, and that will be position position X Yeah, notice there's something a bit different here. Position Y. You could tell as soon as I debugged it, but I don't want to show you me debugging because this will extend it. And now we want our source rect width times scale. And source rect height times scale. And then we just need to cast these, get rid of these errors. So close them in brackets and then int32. Same with this one, and close in brackets and then int32. So you're casting it to an int32. And we're going to need to do the same for these ones because these are floats. So I'm going to do int32 that one. And then for that one. Okay. And then that one. And then we have it. So get sprite rect scaled. So what that does, it returns the physical position of the start and then the width and the height. I'm such a fool. Here, for check collision, it's not the source width, no height. So what I will do is I will get rid of this and I will call get sprite rect scaled. Lovely. That is perfect. So what I could do, no, we need to go check this once here. Lovely. So that's that. Perfect. So we're checking the physical position, not the source within the sprite sheet. So this makes a little bit more sense. All right. So when we have a new rect, we've got our physical position of the start, the top left of the sprite, and then we've got the width and the height, and that's in our rect, which we're going to do it. Okay, so we now have a get sprite rect scaled, and a check collision, and the check collision is correct. Right, so let's go back to classic Space Invaders, and then we'll look at our check invader sprites. Now I made some boo-boos. Make sure you're referencing Sprite Manager, not Bullet Manager. Okay, so it's Sprite Manager object count, and then Sprite Manager object count here, and then Sprite Manager there, and then okay. So let's have a look. So we got our call here. Okay, so that's going through. We got the check manager. So if it's more than one person, more than one in the item list, it iterates through the list with the for loop. We get the sprite, and then we check that sprite collision with our reference rect, and if it collides, it kills the sprite and returns true, else it will return false when it iterates through the list if it hasn't found any. Brilliant, that looks good. So let's quickly go to the I think it's a bullet sprite where we've done this, because here we need to remove this on our check invader things. So let's just take that bit out, and we will call get sprite rect scaled. Lovely. That is a lot better. Okay, so let's try this. Hopefully this will be a bit better. All right. So remember invaders, we can move left and right with our player, and this. Oh, sorry, got the breakpoint in there. Oh, what we'll check is that's better. So we've got our rect. We're at position 325, 530, and we're 15 by 21. Now I'm looking through. I'm just going to step through this. So our first sprite, when we have a look, our source rect, and we got our position. Is it 2080? Well, it's 20 and 80 down. Cool. That's looking good. And then we check the collision with that one. Brilliant. So I'm just going to remove that, our breakpoint, which you wouldn't have, and then we run. It's gone. Would you believe it? Let's do this again. Let's fire another one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, let's see if we can get down. I'm not sure. Oh no. Oh no, I don't. I can move in between. No, they overlap. That's fine. They are too close for that, but look at this. So if I fire up here, well, if I get rid of them, I could have just saved this. So if I fire up here, you should go all the way to the end. So let's oh, look at this. So we've got two, lovely. Lovely. Oh, obviously you obviously have to sort out the Rex to make sure that. So we got there. Now if I fire this, it's not going to go through. Lovely. So this is working. Alrighty. So I think that's the end of this video. I think so. We've extended upon it. I don't. I'm not sure. The bullets a bit big. It doesn't matter because it is technically there. I just need to change it a little bit. We can change their you can do some mega damage with this. Alright, so here we'll fire 3. Fire. Oh, have I got both? Oh, I'm cool. Do that. I win. And that's the end of the game. No, so on the next video, we will I will put a score in. So we'll have a score. We move the invader up. We'll have a score at the bottom. It doesn't matter where. You can place where you want the score. So we just have a global score. And I'll also get the invaders moving. And when they hit the bottom of the screen, it will be invaded. And I will increase the lives. And hopefully that will be the basics of the core game done. Alright then, so I'm going to quickly sort this video out, upload it because it's in demand by one person. Thank you very much. And I will, well, see you in the next installment. Have a lovely day.